Turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 1. 2 Chronicles chapter 1. While you're turning there, I'm just going to make a couple statements and read another verse. In Proverbs, it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Now, we're familiar with the verse that says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but we kind of skip over the verse about the fear of the Lord being the beginning of knowledge. And then Ecclesiastes 2:26 says this. It says, "For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight, wisdom and knowledge and joy." And then, we look in 1 Chronicles 1, if I were to ask you, what was it that, when God came to Solomon, he said, "Ask what you will," and what was it that Solomon asked for? Wisdom. That's what we've been taught. And, but there's something else he asked for, and if you look in verse number 10 of chapter 1, 2 Chronicles 1:10, it says, "Give me now," this is Solomon speaking, he says, "Give me now wisdom and what? Knowledge." And that knowledge is actually intellect, intelligence. And it's also interchangeable with science. The Bible uses it as the word science as well. So he says, "Give me wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people. Who can judge this thy people that is so great?" And God said to Solomon, "Because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet hast asked long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people over whom I have made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto you." And you look all through the Bible, even the other kings of the Bible, when they would please God, it skips my mind which king it was, but there was a king of Judah that was serving God, and the Bible says that he gave him knowledge in engines and things of war. And I don't think it was a combustible engine, but he gave them knowledge of that thing, and that was God's blessing to them. And I was like pastor. I always grew up that new technology is not to be messed with. It's of the world. And but whenever you read the Bible, knowledge comes from God. And the world takes that knowledge and twists it and uses it in ways that are ungodly, but knowledge originates with God. And so, a couple of things led me to this. I'm going to move quick. I told pastors 15, 20 minutes. So, a couple of things led me to what I'm going to show you guys real quick. But when Facebook first came out, I was totally against it, waste of time. Told Mandy wasn't ever going to get on it, and she got on it, and I flipped the lid. And finally, I was like, well, there's all these people out here. I could probably make some money off of it, and so I was real godly. Motivations there. So I got on there, and that's all I really used it for, was just to advertise the business and that kind of thing. And but a couple of years ago, we went to help me out, comedian. Tim Hawkins. He's a Christian comedian up in Oklahoma City. We went to one of his concerts. And they had the intermission, it was 5-10 minute intermission or something like that. And I began to look around. There's probably 3,000 to 4,000 people in this auditorium. And I began to look around, and during the intermission, I would say 75% of the people pulled out their cell phone. And probably 80% of those people were on Facebook. And so I put it, just playing around, I just put out a message, say, "Hey, at Tim Hawkins' concert, who else is here?" There's probably 3 or 4 people that I knew that I didn't know was there that were there. And, it made me realize just the impact that the social media is having on our society. Long story short, I started researching some Facebook stuff and some social media stuff. And I wanted to show you guys some numbers, and I'm a numbers guy. I know some people glaze over whenever numbers are being taught, but I want you guys just to think about these numbers, not as numbers, not like we think of the national debt, because that's the large numbers that we're using right now, but think of them as people, because that's what we're talking about here. And so, as you see on the screen, just some facts. There's 1.3 billion Facebook users. 1.3 billion Facebook users, and 48% of those users logged on to Facebook on any given day. All right, so that gives us, let's see if I can figure it out, 802 million users are logged on to Facebook each day. Those are people. To give you, put it in perspective, the entire population of the United States is 312 million. So this isn't just the United States thing, this is a global, Facebook is global in its reach. Some other numbers, 71% of adults that have the internet use Facebook. So most people who have access to the internet are actually on Facebook, and each user averages 18 minutes per day. That's taken into account those that don't log on, things like that. So 18 minutes, those that are actually logged on are probably on, or definitely on there. I saw another number that those that actually log on are average 50 minutes on Facebook each day. And this is kind of funny, 48%, okay, 18 to 34-year-olds are the key, are the biggest percentage of users, 18 to 34-year-olds. And 48% of them log on to Facebook first thing when they get out of bed. That's the first thing on their mind is to log on to Facebook. 23% of the 18 to 24-year-olds log on before they get out of bed. So you're talking almost 75% of 18 to 34-year-olds that are on Facebook are logging on first thing in the morning before they get out of bed. And then each user that is on Facebook averages 135 friends. So you got 1.3 billion people, and each one of those users have an average of 135 friends. I want to throw this out there, I'll tell you why here in a minute, but Google, give you an idea of the reach of the internet even, Google averages 3.5 billion searches per day. And now catch this, it's grown to 35% of all of that 3.5 billion searches, 35% of those are done on YouTube. And what does YouTube have? Videos. And that percentage is growing year by year dramatically. Most people are going to YouTube to do their searches now because, you know, I heard a guy say that if a picture's worth 1,000 words, what's a video worth? I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can see exactly what you need to find and know exactly how to do it. So 35% and growing YouTube searches. This is astronomical. 86,707 YouTube videos are viewed every second. That's amazing. That is just, it boggles my mind, every second that's viewed. Now, if I were to come to you guys as a missionary and I were to say there is a community that has 1.3 billion people in it, we need to send missionaries there. We would all be saying, yeah, that's what we need to do. But if you go through Facebook, and I'm not an expert at it, but I've ran some searches, you find a lot of churches, but you don't find very much evangelism going on. And it's a mirror of our society, because that's how our societies are. We as churches, yeah, you can come to us, you can hear our sermons, but most churches aren't going out and being evangelistic. And Facebook has given us some simple ways that we can actually share our faith. Most people are familiar with the personal page, where say if I found somebody I knew, I could send them a friend request. They have to approve the friend request, and then I can see their content on their page. They also have business pages where you go to a page of a business that you like, you click the like button, and then all of a sudden you have access to on your timeline to their information. What most people are not familiar with is a thing called a group. And some of you ladies may know about them through like garage sale groups, things like that, where people can post things that they're trying to sell, and so on and so forth. But some interesting things about groups is groups you invite your friends to. You can invite, like if I find a group, I can join it. But the neat thing about a group is I can add my entire friend list to this group, and any activity that I do on this group, they see. So if you can picture this in your mind, well, I'll show you here in a second, but if you picture this in mind, say I did have a garage sale group. In fact, I've got some friends that I'm friends with, and I'm on this garage sale group, and every time that they post something for sale, I get a notification that they have posted something in this group. Does that make sense? So if they comment on something, I get a notification. If they like a post in this group, I get a notification that they are active in this group. Okay, so, that's a little smaller here, hold on a second. So the advantage is you can add whoever you want. They will see your activity on their timeline, and then posts can be submitted by anyone in the group. So if we had a Lighthouse Baptist Church group, say we wanted to have just devotions together as a church each morning, each of us could go on that group in the morning and make a post of what we read, in the Word that morning. And if we were friends with people, all of our friends would get a notification saying, "Hey, Jeremy posted something in Lighthouse Baptist Group devotion group." So that's the advantages of a group. They don't have to have your permission for you to add them to the group, which is great, and for us, and they see all of your activity on that. So I started a group called God's Work in Me, and the reason I called it that is I wanted it to be something that it wouldn't be intimidating, to unbelievers, but yet would still, explain what we are trying to do with the page. And what we can do, what we've started the opportunity to do is to record your testimony, either by video or a picture with your testimony in text, and then upload that to that page. And we have it to where a post will not go out unless we approve it. So, we don't have to worry about people posting things unscriptural. We have guidelines and stuff like that on the page. So record your testimony, post your testimony, and then invite your friends to your group. You can go through, and I'll show you here in a minute, you can go through and invite every one of your friends. And you say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, number one, you want to invite your Christian friends so that they can share their testimony and they can see the opportunity to share the gospel with others. But also you want to invite your unsaved friends, because it's a non-confrontational way to present the gospel. You're not being confrontational in their face, hey, listen to me. You're posting a post of your testimony. As they're scrolling through the timeline, they're going to see your face, they're going to see the little play button right in the middle, and it's proven that more people will play videos than look at pictures or anything else on Facebook. They're going to hit that button. They've even got it now. Facebook even has it now. If you scroll over a video, it automatically starts playing. It's amazing. And so you record your testimony, we post it, and then if you stay active on the site, if your testimony is posted, it will show that. And then if you go and you find another testimony, maybe somebody else that you know, and you like that testimony or you comment on that testimony, they see that on their timeline. And so if you can kind of imagine an unsaved person, let's say every day, let's say you have, let's break it down. Let me show you this first, how to add your friends. That's what I was going to do. So on Facebook, if you were to go to the God's Work in Me page, I kind of did a dummy account just to kind of show you what you would see. This is what you would see, and then right here is where you would join the group. You just click on that, and it'll send the admins a request that, hey, you want to join the group. And then next, it will come up like this. You'll have notifications here. You can click, and your friends can click. If they get tired of seeing it, they can click and unclick whether they see this. So it's not like you're making them do it. They have that choice. But if you click on members here, right there, you will see this screen come up. And it will list everyone who's a member in that group. So right now there's 300 members. And then this little button right there, if you click that button, it's called Add People. It comes up with this. And now they have made it so that you can't just blanketly add all of your friends, unfortunately. They make you work a little bit. So what I did is I started with A's. I typed in A, it brings up a list of people that have a last name, first name that starts with A. Then I went AA, it brings up all the people with AA, like Aaron or something like that. And I just went through the alphabet, and it brings up the list of people. You just go through and you click on their names. Like those are already added. It'll tell you if they're already a member, so you can't add them twice. If they're not, you click on their name, it will make a list. I think you can add 20 at a time. And then when you're done, you hit add, and it automatically adds them to that group. They get a notification that they've been added. If they don't want to be on it, they don't have to. But most people believe in the idea of God. And so when they see God's work in me, they're not afraid of that. it's not intimidating to them. It's not like, hey, you're a sinner dying to go to hell group. It's palatable to their ways of thinking, and so most people don't care. And they're going to get these notifications, and the goal is for God to use that to bring the gospel to the unsaved. And so, the main thing though is to stay engaged. My friends that are added to the group will be notified. I told them the posts I make, comments, and likes in the group. But I have to be engaged for them to see those things as well. But to give you an idea of the reach that this can have is if each person has a average of 135 friends. So I personally have almost 1,000 friends, stuff like that. Not saying that to brag, but let's just take the average. If every Christian in here, or the people that are on Facebook, had 135 friends, let's break it down that 30 of those were unsaved, 100 of them were saved, or 105 of them were saved. If you added your friends, and your believing friends added their friends, so you've got 105 people adding 105 people, and each one of those 105 believers and 30 unbelievers, anyway, it's a lot of numbers, equals out. Just in 2 generations, so I add my friends, and those friends add their friends. Those believers add their friends. You'd reach over 33,000 people. Just in 2 generations there of adding people. And so, the growth of it can be, tremendous. Even just in our church, if everybody were to add your friends and then encourage them to add their friends, the growth of it would be unbelievable. And we're not doing it to say, hey, we've got this group that's got 33,000 people in it, but we want to be able to influence people in the way that they're being influenced. They're being bombarded by media every day, and this is an opportunity that we can take our testimony and we can show it to people in a non, and I say confrontational, we are confronting them with the gospel, but we're not doing it in a way that's going to, we're doing it in a way that hopefully will make them think and contemplate the message that they're hearing. And so, I think that's it. I do have, okay, how to get started. This is something that you'll find on our, if you go to God's Work in Me, just search it, will come up. It'll come up with that logo that you saw. And, write out a testimony. And there's some group guidelines. We have our statement of faith on there, and then there's some things like that you'll need to pay attention to, like your environment and your dress and the words you use, things like that. Keep it under about 3.5 minutes, because any more than that, people aren't going to listen. You got to keep it short and concise, and then record your testimony, submit your testimony for posting, and we'll post those, at opportune times. And then stay engaged. And what we're going to try to do is we've got a sign-up sheet on the back table. And if you go on the God's Work in Me, you will see my testimony. And I intentionally did it as simply as possible. I took my iPhone out and I just recorded it. And that's all it takes. You don't have to have special gear. You don't have to have an expensive camera. All you got to do is take your phone out, and you can have your testimony kind of outlined out, and just record it and hit upload. That's all you got to do. But for those that are intimidated by that, we're going to try to set up a time that if you'd like us to record it for you, we can do that. Now, keep in mind, this is going to go public, and people will see it. And not just on Facebook, we'll probably upload them to YouTube. So some people are intimidated by that too. So I just want to let you know that. This isn't going to be a private thing in just our church. But anyway, the sign-up sheet's on the back, and if you'd like to get involved in it, we'll set up a time just depending on how many people we get and the times that they're available. But I really encourage you. This isn't the only way to do it, but it is an opportunity that God has given wisdom or given knowledge to men, and they may even be unbelievers, but it's a way that we can reach people in a community that is just unbelievably large. So I think that's all.